So we're going to be reacting to what Jonathan Kolb had to say in the exit interview last week about the New York Liberty and why they decided to fire Sandy Brondello. His answer is pretty comical, in my opinion. This would be their third head coach that they're going to hire in the past 6 years, ever since he became GM. What does that say about the stability when you have a GM who can't keep a coach around? And you look at Sandy's track record. She comes in, the Liberty first season, 16-20 under her belt. They come back the year later, 32-8. They get to the WNBA finals. They lose to the Aces. Okay, it happens. You follow back up with another WNBA finals appearance, and you win the championship. This season, you had a lot of injuries. Brianna Stewart, we talked about it before, dealt with an injury for a while. She didn't have her best players out there for a period of time, and they end up finishing 27-17. They lose in 3 games against the Mercury, who are now in the WNBA finals. And there's been a lot of different opinions about this situation when it comes to the Liberty. But in my personal opinion, when it comes to this situation, I think you got to ride the ship. Because here's what's happening right now. You have 3 unrestricted free agents on this Liberty roster. Brianna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu, and you have Jacquel Jones. Brianna Stewart was annoyed by the question the media asked her right after they lost game 3 is, what would you feel if Sandy Brondello got fired? And her reaction was, what the bleep? And she was very annoyed by that question because she even said that Sandy has our back and we have her back. So she gets fired. How do you think Brianna Stewart is feeling right now? There's a head coaching opportunity at the Seattle Storm. And I'm sure Sandy's name will be in the running. And don't think for one second that Brianna Stewart might not follow her. Don't think for one second that Sabrina isn't going to leave New York. And now you're left with a roster that's more of a, fighting for the 8th seed? Because this GM somehow thinks we got to adapt to the WNBA's changes, and that's how we're going to remain sustainable. And they asked him about Cheryl Reeve. We're going to play the clip and I'll give you my thoughts here.
My question, since you assumed the role of general manager in 2019, this will be the 3rd head coach hire within that time frame. What does that say about the evaluation process from ownership, from you, the decision making? Because when you look at an organization like the Minnesota Lynx and Cheryl Reeve's longevity in the league, there's a huge turnover rate when it comes to coaches in the WNBA, whether successful or unsuccessful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that Cheryl's kind of set the standard in the WNBA for exactly that, not only longevity, but success. I think when you go back and you look at the Lynx records over the years, there are some real down years there. There's under 500 records, but they also had that dynasty run where they won every other year. I think that during that time we just spoke on, right? Like this league is different than just a couple of years ago, let alone that long ago. And I just think it's more about an evaluation of the league and how the league is changing and who is coming into this league and leading these organizations.
So you're basing your head coach off how the league is adapting. Shouldn't the head coach make those changes? If things are changing, don't you think your head coach will make those necessary adjustments? You're talking about Cheryl Reeve, and you bring up the fact, where they had some down years. Well, let's go back and look at her career at Minnesota. First year, 13-21. The next, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They were over 500. They had really good records. Then they had a little bit of some down years. They lost in the first round of the playoffs in the next 2 seasons. Lost in the semifinals in 2020, second round in 2021, missed the playoffs in 2022. So here's the thing. They have missed the playoffs twice ever since he's been the head coach. That's a pretty good track record. You look at Sandy's track record ever since he came to the Liberty, 3 of her first 4 years for the Liberty made the playoffs. Made the WNBA finals 2 years in a row. You want to talk about, we got to change to, how the WNBA is adapting and evolving. What? That doesn't make any sense. The league is going to change regardless. It's almost like the NBA where you've got head coaches saying, okay, more players are taking more threes, so let's add more big guys who can knock down an open corner 3 or knock down the mid-range shot because we need more spacing. We don't fire a head coach. We just say to them, hey, you got to add a new layer of roster where guys can space the floor. You look at Greg Popovich and the rosters he had, where he had the grit and grind. He had the teams that made things ugly. Then their offense in 2015 was playing with more pace. They were shooting a lot of threes, and not like as much as the Celtics, but Greg Popovich understood the league is changing. Let's change with it. But to fire a coach and act like, they can't make any changes to their style is crazy talk. I don't know what he is saying here, but let's continue.
on the floor. So I think it's more about that. This is not a results-based organization. This is not about not winning or winning. It's about how do we position ourselves to be at the top of the league in a real sustainable way.
You can be at the top of the organization when you have a coach around who implements their system, the players are bought in, and they keep winning. And if it's not about results, what are you doing as a GM? Like, what does that even mean? You're here to get results. That's why you build a roster. That's why you went out and added more star power to the Liberty, because you're looking to win a championship. That is the goal of every organization. Can't tell me it's not about results. That's just crazy to me. Every GM is looking to win. That's their MO. They go out and add players, and the coach figures things out. You can build sustainability when you don't have your third coach in the past 6 seasons. That's just a complete disaster, in my opinion. And you had somebody really good who Brianna Stewart and Sabrina Ionescu say she's got her back, and we have her back. How do you think they're feeling right now? And if they end up leaving the Liberty because of this choice, it's one of the dumbest things I ever saw. Because in my personal opinion, the Liberty was set up to go back to the WNBA Finals next year and probably win another championship if they stay healthy. I mean, you look at this roster: Brianna Stewart, Ionescu, Natasha Cloud, John Coyle Jones. You've got that sensational second player in Phoebich, and she was out for a month because she was playing overseas. So it's like the Liberty is talented. They've got a stacked roster. You mean to tell me nobody else is going to come join this roster next offseason if they decide to run it back? It's just fascinating things you hear from GM sometimes, but let's continue what he has to say here.
As the league does evolve in the ways we're talking about on the floor. So for me, I think, in terms of Cheryl, I think she's exceptional, and I think that she's set the standard in that regard. But I think it's more indicative of the league at large than anything else.
So he's more concerned about the league is changing, but here's Cheryl Reeve, who coached from 2010 to now. I'm sure she's changed up some things because she's noticing styles have changed in the WNBA, because you have a Caitlin Clark who can push the ball and run more pace. You have more shooting. You don't think Sandy Brondello can make some changes? And again, people criticize her for that championship last year, but they got it done. And when you get in that situation where it's desperation, win or go home, if you don't win, you lose the championship. Things get pretty ugly at times. So this guy, I don't understand him whatsoever. Hopefully it all works out for the New York Liberty. And if we see Stewie Ionescu end up leaving, or they lose a chunk of this roster because they don't want a new coach and they believed in Sandy, it's going to get very nasty quickly in New York. Hope you guys enjoyed this video today. I'd love to hear your thoughts about my reaction. In terms of Jonathan Cobb's press conference, do you agree or disagree with what he had to say? Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you guys next time.